Hello everyone, this is Ricey, and in this video let's talk about finding housing in Atlantic Canada. The housing market in the Atlantic Canada has become too popular because many people from Ontario, BC, and all other popular and big provinces move to Atlantic Canada mainly because of the low cost of housing. If we compare the cost of housing in Atlantic Canada to Ontario, semi-detached in Ontario will cost more than $600,000, and here in New Brunswick a semi-detached will cost half of that. There isn't much supply, but there's a lot of demand when it comes to housing, and therefore apartments are very hard to find these days. Nevertheless, there are ways for you to get an apartment here. But before we dive deep into the nits and bits of finding housing in Atlantic Canada, first things first, if you are an international student, I certainly recommend that you find an apartment that is just a walking distance from your home to your school. It can be a burden if it is way too far and you have to take a bus ride to your school. Atlantic Canada is not well connected when it comes to public transportation. We do not have tram here. It's not like Europe. If you have to go to a place, you will have to take a bus, you have to walk, you have to have a bike, or you have to have a car. And being an international student, buying a car is certainly something that can be planned, but I can imagine it's not something that you would want to do immediately, and therefore always look for the space that is nearest to your school, either to your school or very near to a bus stop. My first recommendation is for you to go directly to the website of the property managers or the landlords of the properties itself. The two most popular property companies here in Atlantic Canada, if not across Canada, are Killam Properties and Northview Properties. These property companies have got a lot of apartments for rent across in and around Atlantic Canada. Now, one of the main challenge really, if you live outside of Canada and you are just about to move here, is you really these property managers will look for various information such as, you know, your capability to pay, your history of credit, the ties within the region, and therefore you will not run away from paying your apartment. There are various documentations that these guys might need from you, but it is certainly worth the try to go directly and communicate with them directly. And I do know a person who was lucky enough to actually land an apartment before he moved to Moncton. The second recommendation that I certainly have in mind is to join Facebook groups. There are many Facebook groups that have got the same interest, most especially in housing. Again, housing is fast becoming a problem here, and therefore many people join Facebook groups or create Facebook groups about apartments in Moncton, housing in Moncton. There are many groups that you can join, and these people have got a room for rent or even a full apartment for rent. Many private individuals do rent out a space in their house, and this could be also an opportunity for you to find housing, most especially if you are an international student. And I can only imagine, of course this is for real, that financial capabilities can be restrictive, and sharing a room or a space with another person certainly makes sense, and you can certainly find this information through joining various Facebook groups. Another website you must certainly take a look at is Kijiji. There are many private individuals who put in an apartment for rent, or a room for rent, or a basement for rent, wherein they have a house and again they want to rent it out to an individual. Kijiji is a good place to start as well. One caution though that I have to essentially advise you is that be careful of certain individuals who will say, yes, I will book this room for you, but you have to pay me in advance for a month or 2 months. You have to be absolutely cautious, because there are people who can be there are scammers. Moncton is certainly, or Atlantic Canada is not an exception. Everywhere in the world there are scammers. Kijiji is a ripe place where you will find many scammers. If you do have a friend here, and this friend is kind enough to have a look at the apartment or the room that you wanted to take on, probably ask your friend to just have a look. Just see the room, if it's suitable for living, if it's a kind of if the location is a kind of place that you would want to live in, and just to ensure that the apartment or that location or that address actually exists. There are instances that people would say this is the address, and in the Google Maps it will show something, but when you actually go there, it's a totally different scenario. The location does not exist. So be absolutely cautious when it comes to Kijiji. By the way, guys, if you are an aspiring international student to Atlantic Canada or in Canada in general, and you haven't got any idea where to start, what career to choose, what program, which school to go to, which school does not require IELTS for you, if these are the kind of questions that you have, connect with me on info@questcanadaca.com, or even download this file here, which is an eligibility assessment, and I shall certainly come back to you with further information. Another option for you to find the housing is there are schools that would allow their students find housing, wherein a school would have a certain relationship or agreement with certain private individuals who own houses, and the students will just rent a room in those houses. Some schools provide such service, but not all schools provide such service. And last but certainly not the least is for you to be a member of various WhatsApp groups. There are many WhatsApp groups for international students, NBCC, in PEI, Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick. These students communicate together, these students look for housing, these students look for a housemate or a roommate. There are many opportunities to find apartments with these different WhatsApp groups. If you just search on Google, or even if you read on various groups on Facebook, you will find various WhatsApp groups that you can join, and from here you will certainly find housing that is most suitable for you.